Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Headspace Podcast. It's episode 73. My name is HSR.
My name is Chris Chrome.
And our little Twitters have just popped up, so feel free to follow us and holler at us and keep the discussion alive once the video is done. So, welcome to the Headspace Podcast. Basically, we take these new rap albums and we go through them track by track. We're not necessarily the most knowledgeable hip-hop heads, is a fair warning. We'll call this the little housekeeping portion. We are simply here trying to understand, listen to what we come across, share the impressions as we're learning, and use this as an opportunity to kind of just see what's happening, like what albums are actually out. Because so often people are like, man, there's no new music worth listening to. And we're kind of just looking to see what is the new music worth listening to and all that. Anyway, before we move ahead, it's just to let you know, take anything we have to say tonight with a grain of salt. We are just trying to learn and grow, and we just get better at this over time. So this is just our process that we're sharing publicly and visibly with all of you to hear what you have to say, because the comment section teaches us far more than Google can. Sometimes you Google shit.
Than anything we get.
Seriously, sometimes you try Googling some shit and you just don't know where to go to look to find the real information. Anyway, on that note, we're going to start with my favorite freaking segment of this thing. It's our favorite comment from last week. Last week, we talked about... What the fuck did we talk about?
Vacation in Hell from Flatbush Zombies.
So we talked about that. And then Zikarat's here. Go suck on your ponytails, weirdos. This album is a classic. Now, my biggest grievance with this was that I kind of said at the end of the video, I could see how this goes down as a modern classic. So I was like, okay. So I kind of don't disagree with him that it's got like a lot of value, this album. But like... just because we didn't agree with you, we have to live out your porn fetish of sucking on ponytails? Like, it's just weird. Like, some of these insults that we get, which are fine. Throw your insults. I love the SEO points. But, like, somebody suck ponytails? Like,
I just got a question, though. Who's the comment from?
Zikarats.
If you can, and if you are watching this video, can you please just let us know what your definition of a classic would be? Like,
it doesn't matter. He loves the album. It's a classic. Fine. But what can you let me know where the insult sucking ponytails came from? That's the part I got on. Now there were some other comments where the general of the few that we got on that video, it seemed that people felt that the beats and stuff were not necessarily their favorite. I disagree. I fucking love the beat work. The lyric, I really like the album. So a lot of people, the few people who commented made it kind of sound like the beats were not necessarily there, the production wasn't there, but the actual lyrics were tight. So that was the other people's comments, and then this guy. Anyway, I decided to have some fun with that because, come on, sucking ponytails. What a crazy fucking thing. Anyway. So, before we move ahead, I've been working a little bit on the request list because we are getting closer to a magic number, and I have updated it since the last time we spoke, and you will see a couple more added. About 30 albums have been added, a couple more points, and I will soon be up to date with that, actually. So thank you all for your comments. Thank you all for sharing with us what you want to see us cover in the future. And on that note, let's talk about the Grind to 1,000 subscribers contest. As of recording this, it's at 969, which means 31 more fucking people just have to hit that subscribe button, like you watching this right now. Hit that subscribe button, get us that much closer to 1,000. Then you got to leave a little comment about this review, and maybe, the album, us, your feelings, something to spark a little conversation.
Or any other review we've done as well.
We'll get there, Chris. She's running the theater of this. Then you hit the subscribe, you hit the like, you leave the comment, you get a raffle entry into our little contest. Once we bust past 1,000 subscribers and 31 more people, we will go through this comment list I've been putting together, go on YouTube Live, use a random number generator, pick some people. First prize is going to be $100 of Amazon gift card money, plus you can request a review from us of whatever album, book, movie, whatever you want to see us do, and we'll get it done as quick as possible. Second prize is $50 with the review. Third prize is $25 with the review. All Amazon gift card money, all USD equivalency, and as Chris interrupted the flow to describe, I know. Basically, for every video of ours that you like and comment, you're going to get an extra entry into this raffle, and that'll be freaking dope. So, given that could be like next week that this is happening, depending on how much you want to enter into this raffle and show some love. You show us some love, we show some back. That's what community's about. We really value what you have to say. It is the guiding force of how we get better. Chris, please introduce this week's album.
Well, for this week's Headspace album, we decided to go with E-40 and Be Legit, a new album, Connected and Respected.
How do you know these guys? Tell me if your familiarity with E-40 and Be Legit.
I've heard the name Be Legit, but I've never really dived into any of his music or any of anything he's done. Just saw his name in passing. But E-40, I remember him from Snap Your Fingers with Little John and Little Scrappy. I've heard the name E-40 growing up and hearing some different songs. I can't really remember of any of them besides that one I just saw on the Spotify playlist, and I was like, hey, I remember that track. But I feel like I've always kind of known that he's kind of like this like tricky rapper, this like fast rapper somewhat. But also really good with wordplay and just kind of talented. I've never really sat down and listened to a full E-40 album.
Yeah, I'm in a similar boat. I know of E-40. He's like a name that appears everywhere, and considering his legacy, it's pretty clear why he's like a name you can't avoid. I think his most recent super hit was I Don't Fuck With You with Big Sean, and like even to that end, he was still on super hits, which I say still because I spent a little time looking into it. He did some documentary a couple years back, and I made sure to watch that and read up a little bit on him. And I had no idea how significant E-40 was for like for the rap hip hop music in general. Like, I mean, I don't really feel qualified to talk a lot about his accolades. Only that it really was amazing to hear him speak. Like just stuff like how he's been faithful to his wife for like 25 years, or the kind of guy he is, the business oriented. How like, you know. So anyway. You just got the sense of who he was, and then when I listened to the album after learning a little bit about him, I really had this deeper appreciation, I guess, for who he is. But I don't know his sound. I don't know any of this. This is the only album, so I know he's part of From the Click. I know Be Legit's also from the Click. So they're like connected. They're like really tight, and that these guys, you know, put out this project now. So I know it sounds really ignorant, but I recognize that these guys is mega players. Like they've been around since like the 80s and shit, and I'm not trying to deny any of their legacy. So if we say anything stupid and shit, just bear with us. We recognize the value of who these guys are, but this is literally my first encounter with maybe this particular subgenre of hip hop, and I'm happy I found it, but Maybe not everything we say is up to par is all I'm trying to say. For those of you that are new here, for those of you that are familiar, I'm just trying to frame things better for those who aren't new here. What do you think about the album cover? What do you think about the title?
I like the title because it's kind of representing that they're the OGs, as we've described. They're just stating that they're connected and that they have that respect. But I think it also kind of plays the title itself also plays in with the art with the album art, because as you can see, like they're kids here in the album art. They're kids. They got like two types of drums, and I think it's like playing that they've been connected and respected since they were kids, since the beginning. And I like the color. I like the way that it kind of looks old and kind of like worn out a little bit. I like it. It's an album cover that I'm gonna full on remember. The name Connected and Respected does have a statement to it, more of like authority, I would say. Pretty much what I got from the covers. And
yeah, no, that's fair. I don't disagree at all. It's pretty straightforward. It's straightforward. It's you have E-40 on the left, I believe, Be Legit on the right under their names. One's got a bass drum, one's got a snare drum, but like a marching band. And as I understand it, back in the day, they were part of the marching band as they were starting up their teenage rap careers and stuff. So it's like a real throwback to like, I guess, their roots. Mm-hmm. I love the idea of the title Connected and Respected. It's like guys who know what the fuck they're talking about, you know? Yeah. And I like the fact that they're like old. They're like, I think E-40's 50. I'm assuming Be Legit's around the same age. So it makes me curious just when guys who are, I guess, 20 years older than me are out there actually still spitting music. Like, what do these guys have to say? What do these connected and respected guys have to say? Because not only are they involved, but they have the love of the people. Mm-hmm. I don't know. You look at that cover and just their youth is there. It's nice. It's a really really cool experience. It makes me really curious to hear about some life lessons. No.
My nigga just beat his case, they be testing. Really outside, nigga.
All right, Chris. You know how we do. How did you feel about this track?
Well, I like the knowledge that I took from this track. From the title as of life lessons, you're already expecting some type of, like I was saying, knowledge, some type of information that they want to give to you. And right off the bat with the first verse, you've got E-40, and I've always remembered his voice. That's something that's always stuck with me, though. I know that he's got a specific, like a certain tone to him that.
Well, it's like it's not just his voice; it's the way that he evolves and the way that he grows. And I'm not trying to be a dick or anything. It's just that cool way he morphs his voice that really just is almost like a brand in and of itself.
Of course. So yeah, like I was saying, right off the bat, we got E-40, and he goes, make your next move your best move. That's what I was trying to explain to my little dude. Stick to the rules. God take care of babies and fools, and you ain't a baby or a fool, therefore you ain't got no excuse.
Fire bars.
And straight up fire bars, because I've
noticed the entire millennial era on their shit.
And that's something I've noticed. Like, a lot of the OG rappers, a lot of the legendary rappers are trying to still, like, show that, you know, you have to kind of respect. There's certain rules to the game. There's certain ways of making moves. There's certain business ethics, or even like moral ethics, or even street ethics that you have to kind of follow and be a part of. And you get that slapped in the face. And then he kind of follows up through the verse with like different little experiences he's been through, kind of showing like he knows what he's talking about and how he's moved. Then on the chorus we get Stresmatic. I like the dark voice, the mixed, it's mixed with the beat. It's very good. I like how it meshes together. It wasn't kind of overpowering.
Yeah.
For verse two, you got Be Legit. And again, they're kind of dropping knowledge on what you're supposed to be like and how you're supposed to act if you're gonna claim like you're a gangster, you're an OG, you're trying to be the best. One of the lines from Be Legit was, remember, never talk to Popo, keep friends with the enemies, don't believe them when it's 10 a key, no Santa, no chimney, follow God if you follow me. And it's again more of that like, you know, you got to keep your enemies close. You keep your friends, but keep your enemies closer. Don't ever be a snitch. Don't talk to Popo. They're not.
I think the most. Sorry, because you kind of glossed over it. I don't know if you were going to say anything there. Sorry if I cut Chris off for the people who still think I'm a dick. It's that don't believe him when it's 10 a key, right?
Yes, absolutely. I was getting to that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's like straight street talk. Like when you're talking drugs, when you're talking moving weight, you're like, he's giving you that knowledge. Like if somebody goes, it's 10 a key, a 10 and a key is a kilo, I'm gonna assume.
Right. I don't think you know any real prices. So here's what I took from that line, not knowing any real prices. It's not so much that it's so specific. It's that sounds like it's a deal that's too good to be true.
Right.
And a lot of what he's saying here, it kind of sounds like it's straight out of the Laws of Power or something. That's the orange one on the bottom over there. Basically, he's saying if something sounds like so unrealistically good, don't trust it, you know, because there's no Santa, no chimney, no fantasy, you know, like instead have faith in God and go blah, blah, blah. I thought it was just brilliant, like real fucking wisdom shit.
Well, I like that Santa line kind of justifying it because as we know, Santa comes down the chimney.
But there's no Santa, so it doesn't exist. Anyway, yeah, go on.
So there was that line. I also like on verse 3, you have E-40 and Be Legit doing a split verse. First half is E-40, and right off he goes, when I was younger, I used to ask hella questions. Always listening to my OGs. They taught me life lessons. Do unto others as they do unto you. That's what they told your little nephew. And again, he's showing like I feel like E-40 is like I've been where the little one or the like millennial generation, the younger rappers, the younger generation is now. Like he's saying I've been there, but I also had to look up to somebody who taught me the way. And if I'm doing that, you should be following what I'm saying, or you should be at least like following what the OGs are saying, and not be trying to just do this reckless bullshit you're doing, you know?
Yeah.
And then halfway through the verse, like I said, it switches over to Be Legit. And something he said, like just one line was, if consequences make your decision, you end up dead or off in prison. And that just sat with me for a minute because I had to think about it. I was like, do I make decisions based on like what I want to do or based on the outcome of it? And the way I'm taking this line is like, if the outcome is a negative consequence, is that what we're trying to live for now? Is that what like decisions are being made for now? That's just something that stuck with me, and I thought that was really a powerful line. Overall, the song is good, but I felt like it was lacking some type of flair to it. It I don't know, like it felt a little bit like the beat was good. Everything about it was good. It wasn't like fantastic. It was good. But I felt like there was lacking flair in like the energy that was being presented. But the song landed at a 4 on 5.
Yeah, I don't know what Chris is talking about there. So first you hear this bassy sound that like, I know all of y'all watching are familiar with the bassy sound. I mean, I heard it before too, but it's been a while since I heard this sound. It really made me picture like 10 years ago music, even more, 15 years ago music. This like good snap your finger, bop your head, like fucking kind of bass driven, awesome beat. And it kind of creates an energy. And then, I mean, E-40 comes in on that first verse, and it's not just that he says all the wise shit that he says, it's the way that he kind of has his tricky flow, and he just says everything so matter-of-factly, but with a certain dramatic flair, to ensure that you never really get bored hearing what he has to say. And everything that he has to say in this song is pretty fucking valuable. One of my favorite parts is not so much, I mean, Chris quoted like the lyrically what I thought was dope in that first verse, but it was also the way that he kind of like smacks his lips and then somehow rhymes that with a gun click sound. Like, he managed to use the ad-lib sound effect shits to both finish his line and rhyme. And I was like, that's some good shit. Like, I would never have thought to do that. Like, I don't think many people would have thought to do that. It takes a certain degree of, I guess, veteran skills to rhyme sounds like that, which I thought was really impressive. And again, I liked when Be Legit comes in. And the first thing you notice if you're fresh here and have not listened to Be Legit before is the stark contrast of tonality between Be Legit and, let's say, E-40. E-40 is kind of the higher pitched, let's say, the higher ends of it. And then by contrast, Be Legit is like so fucking deep, and he comes in with these almost slower but hard-hitting fun lines. And I say fun because there's almost like a certain fun, like, you know how like people call Rick Ross a boss kind of thing? Like, I kind of say that's some boss shit, the way he delivers his lines. And I really thought that he everything he says is just so full of potency that it's cool the way he delivers it. And it contrasts against E-40's trickiness so that you really are getting that fuller package than, say, like all the trickiness or all the slow. Anyway, I like the contrast. But even if you think of that consequences line that Chris quoted earlier, right before it, its reputation is important, keep your word proper, which they are so far have done quite well in this song. And from what I understand, their whole career, they've been really proper with their words. So if consequence make your decision, you end up dead or in prison. I walk it, man, but they don't listen. Lessons in life, playing my position. And he's kind of like trying to let you know right here on this very first song that I guess what you're about to hear, or in general what you hear from him, is from his experience. It is, and you get the sense that they're 50-year-olds talking to younger folk who are being like, don't live like that. It's not wise because I made my mistakes and I know better. And in good and proper fashion, the young folk are probably rejecting his old man knowledge. And I mean, this is just pretty universal. This is literally across the board everywhere. It's documented for generations of history. So it's just kind of fun to like see this, right? Because so often we see, it's like the opposite of Lil Yachty. This is the opposite of Lil Yachty in terms of lyrical content. So I thought that was pretty cool. What I have to say is I was highly interested in the subject matter of this track. I think their flows hit the beat like flawlessly. There was nothing wrong. Stresmatic does a great chorus. I don't have a lot to comment on it, but for like this kind of song, it's absolutely perfect. So I get this a 5. That beat's amazing. It's a sound, right? It is a distinct fucking sound. And I can't say I've really heard anything that's this. I've heard things that are kind of like this sound, but I had to give this credit. Maybe it's just because it was like my first real give it a shot experience, but nah, proper wisdom. It has everything I want. As a 30-year-old, I crave some of this old man shit, you know? Like, I want to hear what they have to say. I would go back to this because hearing people like this say shit like this kind of makes me feel less crazy sometimes. So I really appreciated that. Anyway, my opinion is just straight like that.
The ranch don't take the whole Navy just to trim these plants. Beeler got a plan though.
So before Chris talks, I love the fact that the beat has the same core sound, but at the same time sounds completely different. But that these guys use these kind of simple, repetitive beats that a lot of people might not be able to do well in terms of just whatever. But these ones almost create a groove in the way that some of those cool jazz-infused beats can do for you, but in a completely different direction. Like I can picture myself 2 a.m, dancing, trying to like talk to some girl or whatever. This shit's the perfect soundtrack for it. This whole album kind of comes off like that. Anyway, that's just my 2 cents. I like to throw that in before Chris talks sometimes. Go, Chris.
Fair. Well, I was actually going to say that as well. I noticed that the beats sound very similar to the last one, just a different pace, different tone. But I like the song. I like how they're stating that they've kept it straight the entire time. They've stayed the same since the beginning. They've stayed loyal. They've stayed making the same moves, making sure that they're on point, strategic, and it's in a way that they're like, this is how you make it. This is what you're supposed to do in a way to keep yourself grounded and get to where you want to go. First verse, we start off with Be Legit. I like a part where he's like, Be La, got a plan though, AR Commando, Mac name Fernando, Daddy play the banjo, we gonna take the plan slow and rock on out, catch the early harvest, we gonna crop y'all out. And I like that description. You get this, like this southern feel, this like gangster in hostile type feel, knowing that you have to have like an AR commando straight up on your porch with you and making sure that you're always protected. Like just I don't understand that life. I don't understand what it feels like to have to have that type of protection all the time. So I think that like, just knowing the realness behind that, it's like, damn, okay. And he follows up kind of breaking down different little experiences throughout his life and kind of validating what makes him legit and what he's been through. Verse 2. Oh, I like in the chorus there's like this do sound, like this like piano type key sound, like electronically. I like that. It was really ear catching. And they kind of just repeat like they're straight like that, and they kept it straight, and
That's Ocky.
Yes, Ocky has been repeating that for the chorus. I apologize for not mentioning his name. Verse 2, you got E-40.
Hold on, if we said that wrong, any of the names, my bad.
E-40 again comes in with his version of like what he's been through, and you know, trying to validating like why he is who he is. I like one line when he went, "If I get caught with my tool, it's gonna be drastic. Rather be with than without it, instead of laying up in a casket." Yeah. And again, that's more of like, he rather know that his gun is on him instead of not having it and then end up dead, because where he's surrounded by, or his environment is that like insane, is that extreme. People could just run up on you when it's over, and you know, you have to. And I'm also thinking like, especially the money he might be making, and like, you know, how like all the things he may be involved in, there is some dangerous acts that could possibly come to rise. Following through in that verse, I like another part where he goes, "I know a whole lot of bunch of suckers that say they real, but they some cowards. Without the liquor, the powder, the crystal meth, and the pills. I grew up in the hills over the other side of the gravel, where we keep our lips sealed. We don't talk, tell, or tattle." And again, that's more just information, like don't snitch, keep your mouth shut. But I also like where he hit home that he mentioned, you know, powder, crystal meth, and the pills, and he's kind of just naming all these really strong drugs that give you like this, from what I've heard or seen. It kind of makes you feel like you're like you're king shit, like you can do what you want. But I like how he's referencing that people nowadays need the drugs to feel like that, and he's just there like, I feel like king shit because I've worked and put in that grind and that effort for where I am today. And then he also follows it up like, you know, just don't, like, remember the rules, don't be snitching, don't tattle or anything like that. And then on verse 3, you got again E-40 and Be Legit doing a whole half verse. And I liked one part where Be Legit said, "Hella rappers I thought was real needed Emmys. They really actors." And it's still like you're getting this vision, like they feel like they're still original OGs, which they are. They are 100%. And they're still looking at other people that are basically faking it. They're basically saying like, well, we're this, and they don't see the truth. They don't see that. And that's something that's very annoying to these guys. And they make it very clear. So I enjoyed everything about this song. 4 on 5.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty strong. So there's basically like one real song format for like the whole album. Two. There's the 3-verse version where it's 16s, and it's either basically they get equal time each on each song, and they split it. So sometimes they'll do 4-4-4-4. Sometimes it'll be a verse, a split verse. But however they do it, it's going to be like that. And all the features do is the hooks, unless they do E-40 does the hook himself. Well, that's interesting. So like you see this big old feature list, and you're at first like, I wonder like who are all these guys? I don't know. Some of these, I'm assuming they're all local. I guess it's the Bay Area, I think is where they're from. Mm-hmm. I might be wrong, but there's all the local dudes from around there, which is cool. I know that Be Legit runs a studio, so they're probably just dudes that are their squad or whatever. And they're just up on the hooks. So the Ocky comes in, or however you say it, does his thing. Otherwise, yeah, I really think Chris hit the nail on the head. It's kind of like they're just contextualizing their world while describing where they're at, you know? I like when E-40's like, as a capitalist, it's habit, it's magic, and make it happen. These bitches be on a player like a canine on a package.
Hey, bars.
It's fucking great, right? Like, because he is a capitalist, as I understand it. He's really about making that money and shit. So he's kind of saying, you know, and then he keeps the rhyme scheme proper. Like, capitalist is a habit, it's magic, and make it happen. Like, that's pretty solid. Mm-hmm. And what he's saying is, at the same time, because I had to mind, you know, a business, I'm able to habitualize my life to consistently make magic happen, which as a result has the ladies all on me like those drug sniffing dogs go after the packages, which is really well put together. But then he follows it up with, every time that I'm on the phone I'm talking pig Latin, BB girl when you rapping and you triznapping. So he brings up pig Latin, which I haven't even thought about in like I don't know how fucking long, and he says trapping pig Latin. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Did this just happen? It was really great. You just unexpected kind of like fun in the middle of these serious lines, you know? I like when Be Legit's like, Moonlight Baby, I'm the child in the sun. You looking like money, probably getting me some. Yeah, they looking like dummy, you ain't getting me none. Now I'm looking back like, huh? I don't know if I fully interpreted it right, but I got the feeling that he's looking at people like, how you gonna make me that money? And when they look back at him like that, he's like, wait, what are you talking about here? You're not making me money? You know, there's like a problem or something. And it's just this attitude, this general understanding of their value and their worth, and you just feel almost empowered hearing what they have to say. Like, you can go out there and make a little empire happen. You could, you know, sell shirts or some bullshit like that. Wink, wink. At the end of the day, I liked other lines like, Popo handcuff us and put chains on us just like a tire, like a car in the snow in Mount Washington, New Hampshire. I don't fully understand that line. I wonder if it was just to rhyme, but it was still a cool visual. And then like he drops this like super, I guess, political line and follows up with, my bill straps on walrus, they hella fat and they blubbery, which is just awesome because he just somehow makes like his stack of money sound like this just greedy, greasy, infested, delicious experience. And then whatever, goes to Burberry after because he's got the money.
It's a nice little imagery. I mean, like, greasy food.
Yeah, well,
you know, like something that's like pleasurable.
Walrus fats. You just picture them as fat, you know. Anyway, I get a set for myself. I guess it connected with me a little bit less, but it was still a really enjoyable experience. But anyway, there's songs I like a little bit more, like Boy.
I'm on the block, never know who will stole when you feed them the rock. 6 in the morning.
Alright, so this one had a little music video, which was really fun to watch, because these guys look like they have a lot of fun for their age, is all I'm trying to say. Like, I hope I can be 50 like E-40 and be legit. Did you see the video?
No, I didn't catch the video.
Boo. Okay, what did you think of the song?
Well, I like what they did. I like how they're explaining that they have this money, they rose to power, they made it on their own. But I don't quite get the concept of feeling like they to me the song is E-40 and Be Legit questioning people on why they're questioning them.
Yes.
And I didn't quite get it.
Because people don't know their significance and maybe think or whatever. They're haters. They're just haters.
Fair enough. But as well, the beat annoyed me. That's really what took a lot of points off, because I couldn't even focus on really what they were saying. I mean, I was reading along, yes, and I did read the lyrics. But just listening to it in passing, just wanting to listen to it just for the voices and see how they pronounce words, I couldn't really focus because the beat I found so overpowering, so repetitive, that I was just, it just really annoyed me. All in all, I gave it a 3 on 5. It's consistent with what they're saying. It's still energetic.
Hater.
But
hi, hater.
Yeah.
See, this is why they wrote this song. We have this guy right here.
Yep.
I love the flows, man. I like the like just from the beginning, the way he starts it. They see me. You know, like I got grills on my teeth that are shiny and they care, and it just sounds fun and goofy, and like you wanna hear more about it. You know, at least I wanted to hear more. I started with nothing, ended up with a lot. On my left, I've been hustling and clutching choppers and Glocks. Man, I tried to get pop whenever I'm on the block. Never know who will score when you feed him the rock. And then that is a sick line to me, right? Like he kind of like, I love the idea of this, and because it's true. Anyone who just you start with nothing. I don't come from a lot. I might be doing okay now, but I don't come from a lot. So that kind of like rags to riches story is always something that's gonna like appeal to me. He's been hustling, and his version does have guns and shit. Mine doesn't, but I still like, and I can't relate to the part where there's guns, but I can appreciate having to do things you're not proud of to get to where you need to be, or whatever. I mean, I can't really compare. I'm not trying to. Anyway, and then I just love the idea, like, you know, you don't really understand what's going to happen with the situation, but then immediately after, Be Legit kicks in with 6 in the morning, dreads on my spot ball on the floor, team ready to drop, roll with the scotch, I roll one up. Enough in my blunt to levitate like monks, big boss status, ain't made for runs. So there's just the swag and how he says it, and it's not like any of the lyrics are necessarily the most significant thing in the world for me. But when he gets to the part where he's like, big boss status ain't made for runs, I just fucking believe him, right? Like 6 in the morning makes me think of that Ice-T song, you know, kind of like picture him back in the day thinking whatever, like some of the experiences he's gone through, like they're recollecting on what they've had to go through to like become the man per se. And so the lack of respect kind of pisses them off and shit. And then you just get the feeling when you hear a lot of other people's stuff that they don't have boss lyrics next to these guys. Like, these guys are real ones. But either way, Pilo, I fucking love him on the chorus. I thought it was really, really enjoyable. I like when E-40 is like having at it, getting to it. I'm on this juice, same color as transmission fluid. Because I know what alcohol he's talking about by the color. I don't know the name. But I also can picture it because of the transmission fluid.
Isn't it hypnotic?
Maybe. It might be. But yeah, so like you can just like picture it so distinctly, like him there. Like 2 units on my collar grown, but the screen cracked on my iPhone. And now I'm just picturing drunk E-40 dropping his fucking phone and it just like cracked his screen. And then he follows it up with these dealing with their hormones. They're acting like bitches. They need some tampons. Block me on the gram and I ain't even peep. And I'm just like listening to this and I'm like, this is some like genuinely funny shit, right? Like, you just picture an E-40, he's like, oh, I dropped my phone, it cracked, and fucking people, they're emotional, I need some fucking tampons, and they blocked me on Instagram. All of that put together, when you're looking at E-40's face, is a really cool experience, right? Because he almost seems like more hip and wit than some of the younger dudes, while still dropping the wisdom of, like, grandpa. No offense. Like, he's really cool. Mm-hmm. I also beat me and little bro, we don't even speak, block me on, whatever, I said that already. I think that one was actually just the one off from Be Legit, my bad. And it is what it is, it was what it was, truth really is, we don't give a fuck. Like, this is just this nonchalance to the delivery. I give it a 4.5 on 5. I really enjoyed it. I didn't find anything like what Chris found in it. You guys can let us know in the comments how you felt along the way. Feel free. I always enjoy it when some of y'all like kind of live comment as you go. Anyway, Guilty by Association is the next track.
Grew up without a father. It's sad, ain't no uncles around. See the uncle.
So now we have another awesome track, Guilty by Association, and the first noteworthy thing is the lack of feature on the chorus, which is handled by E-40. Chris, what do you think of this one?
Well, actually, since you brought up E-40 on the chorus, tally up, rally up, get them, fuck them. They in cahoots with them, guilty by association. Them, guilty by association. Them, guilty by association. And then he follows up to say the same thing, but then at the end he changes the association to affiliation. These in cahoots with them, guilty by association. Them, guilty by affiliation.
Okay.
And I like that state. I like how he builds the context of the song already. He's already putting like into your head that he's got certain people he wants to target because he's trying to get a message out. What I understand from the song is that young kids are acting up and they're doing things that they shouldn't. And people that are kind of chilling with these types of people or that are trying to associate themselves with them are really not down for that life. And that's kind of what I took from it. I might be missing the point, but I feel like they're trying to just associate people who are faking and trying to think that they're hard, but they're not really that hard. And that they're blaming everybody who's like kind of following that wave. E-40 on verse 1 is breaking down, again, like I was saying, how I think teenagers are nowadays acting a certain way, and I like when he went, some of them come from broken homes, some of them from foster care and group homes. We grew up without a father. It's sad. Ain't no uncles. See an uncle as like a second dad. And I like how he's bringing up the fact that there's these troubled kids who are actually living through this life, and what I'm understanding is that there's other kids who are kind of pretending that they have this life and that they're not, like they're kind of like trying to use it to their advantage to like have like whatever their message, their music, their say. I like when he goes, nowadays, if you ain't on drugs, then you a simp. Same concept in their videos and songs. Can't do a visual without guns, powder, amphetamines, and lean dog food and everything in between. And that's where I get my whole concept of following along, because I also think he's talking about rappers, like the new age rappers, that they have to have these type of items in their video to make a point, to prove that they're from this life, to prove that they come from low. And then on verse 2, we got Be Legit doing his version of what's going on. You find out that he's got a friend who is facing 25 years of probation. And I like when he was like...
Well, he's on probation and he's facing life for the third strike policy, if I understand correctly.
Oh, I thought he was just doing probation for 25 years.
Well, no, he's on probation and he's facing like 25 to life after.
Yes, I misread that. I like when Be Legit was like, ants in his pants, want to move around. I told him for real, he do. I want to sit him down and tell him which his homies, man, them clowns. And he's, again, trying to show, like, if you want to make your movements and your money, there's certain ways to do it. And the people you're chilling with, they're like, they from what I think I might understand, they kind of got him in this situation, in this whole probation situation. And Be Legit is trying to tell his friend, like, yo, you need to get out. And then on verse 3, I like how Be Legit puts everyone on blast and goes, but what if swine pull you over and he know your name? Search your back seat, plant the cocaine, snatch you out the whip, put you in restraint, and say, hey, say he lets you go, you give him 4 names. And right there, he just basically, I feel like he shattered everybody that's faking, and they're like, look, you really want to be part of this life.
I think you misread that, right? I think it's a little bit more like you're not considering the consequences of what can actually happen to you. So you're out there living flashy. You're out there. I mean, if you look in the first verse, like E-40 almost is like these guys are willing to do this shit in front of a police station, right? Mm-hmm. They're like really just doing anything that they want, right? And then he's tried to like give the warning, like stay cool, etc. And here you have the situation where like guys are almost bragging about how they're running around with pot, right? So you have like a zip of weed in your bag, and you're in Cali, so it's legit. You got your cards, everything's fine, but because you're a big shot and shit, the cops extort you by putting some coke in the back because they're trying to squeeze you to make you snitch, and because you're not about that life, you may actually just cave and stuff, right?
Where I was getting to.
But like, I don't think it's about putting people on blast. I think it's about being like, because that's like calling people out in a negative. This is saying like you're not really thinking about the consequences of what could happen.
Well, I would say that he's kind of calling out the people who think that they're that tough, and they're kind of like mocking that. Like I want to say mocking, but like impersonating that life, like, oh, I'm from the streets, I can do this, I can do this.
But this isn't even about impersonating the streets. It's like because you're living so flashy, you've got this target on your back, and you're not even aware of how many ways you can get clipped. So sure, you didn't have any coke on you, but the cops just put that coke there, and now they're going to arrest you, and they're going to force you to snitch, you know? Like, I mean, in a sense, it's kind of exposing what could happen, but like there are definitely parts where he like puts the pressure on. I think this is more of a you just didn't even think of what could happen because you live in like an idiot, you know? Like, I don't know. That's how I interpreted that, at least.
Fair enough. Well, I gave the song a 4 on 5. I felt it to be a really crazy banger. I like the intensity of the beat. I like there's like this dark tone to it, this kind of grim, eerie feel. It was really great.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think it's another one of those tracks where they're kind of doing what they can to they like lay down that like the wisdom that they have, their experience, but also this kind of sorrow that there isn't these role models who are kind of going out of their way to fix the situation. Like what I took from that, like an uncle's like a second dad, and maybe I misread it, but it's almost like instead of like even if the guy's dad isn't there, if other people have been willing to play that uncle role or to step up like E-40 and this guy are doing on this album, maybe some of these situations wouldn't have been bad. Or maybe it really is just that all the men are gone, so there's not even an uncle who could play that role as a second dad. I don't know. But it really just, like, it makes you think, right? And then he's listing all the drugs for the videos when he's like dog food and everything in between. It's just got this like sense that he's just saying it's all trash, it's all nonsense. Like it's like he brought up dog food, which is just processed bullshit you feed your dog. So he's almost implying that the stuff that they're putting in is just complete garbage and whatever. They'll put anything. Like if a Tide Pods will work, they'll fucking see rappers with Tide Pods is I guess what he's trying to imply.
If it's like the trending thing in a sense.
Yeah. So I thought that was really well put, right? Like there's no originality, there's no anything interesting. It's just the nonsense, you know? And then yeah, the rest of the song kind of plays out in the same kind of way. And I really, really like how he has that part where Village is pointing out where you're going to get arrested off the coke charge if you like do your thing. I thought that was really an interesting, like, it's just a lot of, I've never even thought of that. It could happen to anybody, you know, like it, I mean, with a lot less frequency according to statistics, but it could happen to anybody.
Well, I think
But and then E-40's kind of got that. One more thing that I thought was really dope. Keep putting milk on your porch, and I'll bet you that they keep feeding the cats, and they keep coming back. You try to teach them how to fish, but they know it all. That's for certain. You think that you're helping them, but you're really hurting them.
Yeah.
And I really thought that was a profound thing because he's kind of pointing out, like, you got your people around you, you feed them, you take care of them. You know, they're not really generating anything. They're just kind of relying on your wealth to like get by and stuff. And it's basically kind of twisting that parable of the give a man a fish, teach a man a fish stuff. And I thought that was a really cool song.
Like mentioned that he tried to teach, like, he mentioned that they tried to teach them how to fish, but they didn't kind of like want to. They didn't want to learn.
Well, you try to teach them how to fish, but they know it all, and that's for certain. So
I think that's the know-it-all part.
But they're like saying that they don't have to listen to it, etc., etc. Like that. I don't know. And then, but like, I don't know. I guess what they know is that they can just kind of leech off of you or whatever. That you're teaching them the same bullshit that they already know. You're like, let's say you take the position of a rapper who is teaching them the bullshit that's in their environment, right? Or let's just twist it, like you have somebody who's just like stay at home and play Call of Duty all day to somebody who stays home and play Call of Duty all day. Well, then they're spitting what they already know. They don't need that shit. You're not actually teaching them anything. I mean, that could be another way to look at it. Either way, I get this a 5. I thought it was fucking brilliant. Another one that was really fun to listen to, really interesting. I love the beat because you're right. It is a little bit different. It's a little less bass dumpy, a little more twisted and eerie, kind of cool and fun to listen to. Production smooth. E-40 does a great hook. And next one is A Bad Disease for Office Workers, Carpal Tunnel.
Refuse, kids gotta eat. Need some school shoes. Can't spend my cop money, gotta cop.
So at this point, you start to realize that this is my feelings, if you really like the sound that you have heard thus far on this album, the remaining like 12 tracks or whatever, they're going to be awesome for you. If you are not the biggest fan of the sound you've heard so far, the next 12 or 13 songs are not going to be awesome for you because, I love the sound actually. I think it's really cool and I really enjoyed it, but I guess the level of distinction between songs starts to fade a little bit when you have guys who are. I'm not trying to criticize what they do. I'm not trying to say they're not diverse and versatile, but this album is very much what they do, right? Like how Migos made 24 fucking songs that are basically the same on culture. And like how various artists have their niche, and I'm not trying to hate at all. I'm really not. I'm just noticing that at this point, at least, I was like, this is the album. It's gonna be this, and I happen to love the production and the rhymes and stuff. So I was really cool with this. Like, this whole song to me was pretty fucking great.
Well, what do you think about it?
First, I think it's worth stating that in terms of fashion brands I've heard or noticed up to this point on the album, there was Gucci, and now Under Armour underwear, which is the first time I've heard it in hip-hop personally. And frankly, I don't really think about the brand much, but now I'm going to Google it because I might, be interested in purchasing the same kind of underwear that E-40 wears, brand endorsements, all of that good shit. No, I just thought it was fucking fun because I think I wrote the line out here. My life is like a movie. It's action-filled. It's suspenseful. I mean, the way he delivered that was just eloquence, right? Like, first the idea that his life is like a movie, which is probably true, and then I just like how he follows it up with it's action-filled, it's suspenseful, just listing the genres that are his life while maintaining a rhyme scheme and flow is really cool. And then play to win, never play to lose, I refuse, kids gotta eat, need some school shoes. Now he's just a fucking regular dad, Yeah. And then he follows it up really smart. Like, can't spend my cop money, got a cop. I can't spend the money that I need to go get my stuff. And then I also got to pay my lawyer in case I get popped because, copping could be a little bit of an illegal activity.
Yep.
And then stapler in my Under Armour boxer briefs, which is where we get the infamous Under Armour line from before. And I love this. Like, he's kind of like playing it out that on the one hand he's got these like really serious normal everyday shits mixed with all the other shits, but he's responsible enough to have money tucked away for a rainy day in case the thunderclouds cause bad things to happen inside of his life. None of the lines from Be Legit's following verse really struck with me, but the way he just flows over the beat kind of maintains that same boss feel I've been feeling as I've been listening to him so far. Super enjoyable. And then we get the split verse at the end. I really like when E-40's like, "Be careful who talking around, watch your speech, put a contract on your head, put a contract on my head, it's gonna be breached. Reverse the bounty, turn the hit around. I know all the ones on your soil and what's really going down." So you want to talk about some serious power moves and shit like that. He's saying if you even like try to approach me or do some bullshit and come at me in some way, I already know your boss. Like, we're boys. Like, I already know all the people I need to know. So, like, it's almost a laughable joke that you would try to come at me. And I'm so well connected, I will get it shut down before you can even start to move. And it's just kind of, again, that kind of level of these guys know who they are. And you don't get the sense that they're proactively doing anything, whatever. They're about making money. And if you get in their way, they are connected enough to handle that shit. It's nice. It's almost like what you'd hope to be at 50, like connected enough to be distanced while still being involved enough to know what's going on. I like when I think it's Be Legit's like different city every week, all bunch of sweets, and beware of the paper trail. Never use your debit. They could tell. Have you shut down in a cell, hoping you'll snitch, won't even tell. What I like about that is really the knowledge of technology. Like, you got to imagine here in Canada, marijuana is still illegal, even though it's being legalized. But there are many websites that will physical snail mail you weed and other items over the internet, and their security measure is to have you send an e-transfer to a specific anonymous email address. And sure, everyone thinks that's safe and clean, but in my head I'm going, but then there's just proof I sent money to the weed people. And in the same way, that's being kind of like connected there. And I just like, you hear some smart shit. Smart shit is smart shit. It's worth saying it is what it is. I like the beat on this one, but I felt it was not as good as the ones I've given 5s to, but better than the one I give a 4 to. So I'm giving this a 4.5 because it's kind of in the middle of those ones. How do you feel?
Well, you pretty much said everything that I wanted to say. The only thing that I wanted to quote was what the "My life is a movie, it's action-filled, it's suspenseful" line you quoted, was what he says before that. "You bound to find me up in a Avis minivan rental. Player wanna lock this dog up in a kennel. Hustle hard, never gentle. My life is a movie, action-filled, it's suspenseful." Right. And I like how I got this like image and this feeling of like, even nowadays he still doesn't want to be permanently tracked. Like, he wants to make sure he can still get away when he can. He needs to be undercover. He needs to like be mysterious, even while he's still dropping this knowledge and acting like a father and all this other stuff. It was just really cool. Other than that, I feel the same about Be Legit's verse. What I took from it is that he met a girl. She started doing some runs for him, some errands for him, and then they basically kind of just hit it off, and she's kind of just, making him happy. But I didn't really feel the sound to this. It kind of was a little bit off for me. I think it's maybe because, like you were saying earlier, this is their sound. There's
also proof that when music is completely new to you and you're not familiar with it, you're not going to like it as much as after you've heard it. Like, there's evidence to that claim. So take it with a grain of salt. This is Chris's early experiences with it. In 6 months, he might be all up on this shit.
I give it a 3.7 on 5.
All right. You're going to get stomped down along with me in Skit 1 in the comments.
Of the game. It's the teal tap, short change, con game, dope game, pimp game.
All right, so Buddy's talking. He's like, stomp down. JB is actually C the P. I'm not 100% sure what that means, but there's many dimensions of the fast track, and there's all sorts of games. He's kind of laying out the different types of things that exist, like teal tap, short change, con game, dope game, pimp game, street game, a bunch of games. And all this here is where the street game came from. So he's kind of pointing out this is what the streets is about. This is the different games you can pull. And it is part 1. And at this point, I give it a 3.5 on 5 because it was really short. It was interesting to think about, but there really it makes more sense after Skit 2, but still, I'm giving it. I don't know. It's fine.
I give it a 3.5 on 5 as well. Yeah, he just kind of quotes off the different type of like games that there are: dope gang, street gang, like everything Holden said. But at this moment, this is where for me myself, I figured out that okay, the entire album is gonna be about like street life, gang life, and how it's and how they perceive it. But I think it's still trying to drive home the point to the new generation of rappers, millennials, or whatever, that y'all don't know what real street life is. I think like that's really the point I'm getting from this, is that we don't really know where it started. We don't know like.
Maybe it's more that they.
Like, because personally for me, I never knew there was that many games. I would consider all as like the street life. Like, this is what you do in the street life.
You're right. Maybe there's a lack of historical context for what it is. But I think it's a little bit more like people don't realize how to play it right. People might play the game, but understand that it all comes from the same place, and there's some universal rules that they're kind of laying out, which is smart, but still, I kind of felt Meet the Dealers a lot more.
Baby, know the game plan. Hit before I scram. Put her in the jam.
Chris, I just gotta put it out there like this. And we the realist. Not like them, we're realer. I'm in here with the vacuum sealer. Respect. I get that line. Because you seal up the packs.
Vacuum sealed bag. I got it.
It's a sick. It's just that chorus, Stresmatic, kills it. I'm throwing it out there right now at the start. This is one of the best hooks on the album.
Straight. So I'm assuming the song's about the dealers. They're the dealers. They're giving out the products, the music, slanging the dope, and do what they got to do. E-40 is talking about the Bay Area and the environment, follows up telling us a little bit about how he got this girl and he came in her mouth. It's pretty much what verse 1 was about for me. Verse 2 for Be Legit was kind of like how he explains how he has to stay protected at any cost. He enjoys smoking weed. He's with this girl, and she's running for the family, and they also smash. But like he kind of like explains how she's kind of with them and doing the whole group thing, and you know she's running down and doing all the pack slaying and stuff. We got the chorus. It was okay. I mean, it's a good chorus. It could. I don't think it's.
I think Chris is wrong.
I don't think it's the best one on the album.
I think he's wrong.
But we got the chorus, verse 3. Be legit. I like when he went this on go. He acting hella ampy. Like I ain't the chef. You know I shrimp scampi. I put him in the mix. Shoot him in his dick. Don't even fuck around with the family. I just like the fact that he said he'd shoot him in the dick.
Yes,
that was just like
it is well done. I agree.
Right. But honestly, the song was pretty boring to me. I didn't feel flair. I didn't feel like I got sucked into the song. The artists themselves are great. The way they presented it, the way they do it, they got their flows, they got they're on point. Just the song itself was just. I could honestly skip this.
Okay, what'd you give
it? A 3.5 on 5.
All right, I liked it a little more. I thought the hook was pretty tight. It kind of enthralled me a little bit. I kind of like the dryness of it. It's a little bit more like swag filled. Like I feel the environment this was meant for, and it's a place I want to be. There's a lot of cool lines on here. Like another day ago, I was headed to the store to buy some backwoods to smoke my turtle. I saw this buster that owed me a couple dollars or something. At first, I was about to let the shit go. And that's all E-40. He's kind of telling you the story. He's already skeeted in the girl's mouth. So, he's just telling you about how he's going to, just buy his papers and see some guy owes him some money. He's going to let him go. But then, no. And then all of a sudden, Be Legit follows up immediately. But no, this go on. He acted hella scampy and everything. Chris out to shoot him in the dick. And the camaraderie and the friendship between these two guys, like it almost could be the same person who is spitting this verse. But it also makes sense with both these guys spitting this verse. And I thought that was really cool and really well written. On a much, it really made me laugh kind of note. Annually, there's 4 quarters in 12 months. Listen here, there's 8,760 hours in a year. Okay. I've never been the biggest fan of random arbitrary, I guess, math breakdown lines. So fine, we now know how many hours are in a year. There's 28 grams in a zip of nasal candy, right? Okay, so we're moving on to the drugs part. Now, the real clincher of this math stuff, and he does, to be fair, go back to it a little bit in the part where he ends the verse, but 1,000 gigabytes in a terabyte. And I laughed. I thought that was the funniest thing I heard on this entire song, because it's 1,024 gigabytes in a terabyte is the truth. It's not an exact, anyway, it's not an exact 1,000. I know that nobody cares. I'm not supposed to nitpick, but it's just, what the fuck was he trying to say here? I don't understand. It's just a little bit of a math breakdown that just felt arbitrary and fluffy, and I'm not hating on it in the sense.
Terabyte's the bigger package, the bigger size. So I'm thinking, since he made a Coke reference, he's kind of just saying that there's X amount of cocaine in this bigger pound or kilo.
I just thought it was silly. I don't care. I mean, to me, it made me laugh.
It was a science joke.
It entertained me.
You enjoyed it.
It's not a science joke. It entertained me. I give this song a 4.5 on 5. I think it's got a good swag. It's on the better side of like what the sound of this album really is. It fits proper, and it's good. I really enjoyed it, even if I did kind of have a good little laugh there. But I get it on my own.
Had to get it on my own. Lost one, bossed up. Now I'm doing what I want. Nobody hated me now.
Ocky is back with us. He is doing another chorus, and he sounds fucking fly. I wanted to throw that out there. Thank you. Go ahead, Chris.
I agree. Ocky does do it in a really great way. I like this chorus a lot better than the last one. Verse 1, we got E-40, and they're basically, again, like they're reinstating like where they come from, how they do things. They're kind of like, you know, we've made it this far, we did it on our own, we deserve the respect we need, we deserve the respect we want, and the credibility we want. Unlike on the first verse, E-40, life living in the cage in the tridnap, posted with the gauge in the guitar stridnap, hard-boiled eggs and tuna fish sandwiches, dope fiends with AIDS because they can't afford their medicine. And just that imagery, just thinking about how he's always strapped and how he's always got that gun ready, and he's eating hard-boiled boiled eggs and tuna fish sandwiches, and then he's got to deal with the dope fiends, and it's just like just to see and hear that type of lifestyle, it's like you never know. Really.
Also think of how they have AIDS and Martin Shkreli raised the price of their medicine.
Oh.
And that's like a really cool kind of cultural line to just tie it all into something really just recent, you know? Anyway.
Verse 2 on Be Legit, I like when he went, peace doesn't exist, we ain't used to it. That line alone is just super scary to hear, because me personally, I can't imagine anywhere that doesn't, like, I can't imagine living in a world without peace, because I'm so used to it.
Yeah, relative peace.
Fair enough. Verse 4, I don't remember if this is Be Legit or if it's E-40, but back in the day, Popo was easily outsmarted. No, it was E-40, because he goes, back in the day, Popo was easily outsmarted, but now they got some new and improved state-of-the-art shit. Now they got body cameras, robots, and spike strips. And I kind of just felt like E-40 was like, well, we used to be able to get away with shit, but now they have all this new age stuff, and it's harder for me to sell my drugs, and it's harder for me to be...
Well, it's hard. Okay, like, it's kind of like the way the grind used to be back in the day, let's say in the... And it's an interesting... I'm just having a train of thought that kicked in. Mm-hmm. So you have the 90s where a lot of these kids heard all this music about drug dealing. But now the game just literally isn't the same due to everything down to the 5.0 not being the same. I think I saw in Flint, Michigan, there's literally a camera on every literal street corner in the city to discourage illicit activity. Maybe it's not Flint. It's one of those places that has one of those places with a high murder rate. I'm sorry. Anyway, go on.
Well, I like the illusion of going back and forth and kind of having this conversation with each other that they do on this song, and like trying to like telling one another like their experiences and trying to give each other that advice. That's what I got from it. Overall, though, this isn't something I'd really go back to. I ended up giving it 3 on 5. I think I'm just not really feeling the vibe or the sound to this. Everything in terms of the song and the production, I mean, it's all great, but just my connection to it is just not there right now.
Fair. I like it a little bit more. Like this song in particular, I thought it was one of those tracks where you could probably quote every line and have a conversation around what's being said because there's so much depth and meaning to a lot of what they are bringing to the table. Like just take the police part Chris just brought up with the technology, and then the next thing he's saying is grit my teeth and rub on my temple. Got a lot of stress inside. Won't ask family for money because it's hard to swallow my pride. Loved ones can act kind of funny and two-faced and cold-blooded. Kick you when you down on the ground, and the haters love it. So if you couple the idea of it's like, let's say 10 times as hard to make any money the illegal way, and then you also can't turn to your family or loved ones because the second like money gets involved, it gets complicated and fucked up, and if you're on the low, people are just gonna like kick dirt on you because that's how people are, and that's some universal shit. People are just fucking assholes sometimes. Yeah, man, it's fucked up, and if you translate that to any situation, right, where the way things were done is hard. Like let's just look at the housing market to see if I understand the concept. So back when our parents were young, they could buy these houses at like $35,000-$40,000, and then the house would go up in value to like what they are today with these nice 6-figure fucking values. And now we in the housing market are expected to follow the same kind of life, let's say. But it's like 10 times as hard to like get that house, and people are just as bunch of dicks if you don't have that house and you can't even ask for money or shit to go buy that $600,000 house in the same neighborhood. All I'm saying is maybe I misunderstood the concept, but it really got me thinking about shit like that. So I was really into this track. I like the Dope Fiends with AIDS part. They can't afford their medicine, just no veins in their legs, all of that. It's like fucked up, man. And in their Ziznek, dreadlocks and braids in apartments and projects, alleys and creeps, speed bumps in the streets, tarps and sheets, crime scenes, deceased. And it's just such a dismal fucking landscape of just fiends dying and bad, vile situations. And almost a little bit comes off like a war zone in the way he's describing what you're picturing here, and really it's just the damages of drug abuse in a neighborhood, and it's just kind of whack, you know. Like there are parts of Montreal that are like that, but I've never lived in any, so I don't really have any good empathy towards that situation. Be legit's whole piece don't exist, man. That's a great line. And then give a 8, I bet he gonna do it. Give a to tell the whole truth, bet he going through it. X-rays of his lungs show a little fluid, and he ain't got no insurance. Need one, they ain't trying to do it. Suffering, he ain't trying to do it. Rather go out and pull it and catch a few bullets. And it's just like, so you're hearing that this guy has this bad situation where like he's kind of gotten sick and he can't afford to like deal with the medical fees associated with that. Again, in Canada, worst case scenario, you're on Medicare crap and it's all free. It might take you a year and a half to get that medicine, but it will be free. And instead of having to suffer and go through the deterioration and the weakness and the dependence on other people, that person feels inclined to go out there and go get shot and die in a more controlled way, which is one of those fuck moments, you know. Be that as it may, I give it a 4.5 on 5. Lyrically and like flow wise and all of that shit, it is absolutely next level. The beat was a little bit less on the side I liked. Like some of them just hit me perfect, some of them a little bit less perfect. And it's just because some of these beats really capture you in a groove, and some of them feel like, okay, if like I'm and this one was a little bit more on the, if I'm in the right mood for it, I'll be like really good, but it kind of took away a little bit from my experience because I loved what the song was actually trying to say and all of that. So yeah, 4.5 on 5. And the next one is Up Against It.
According to the biologist,
Money on his membrane, he ain't really caring though, right?
All right, what do you think about Up Against It?
Well, I like the storytelling behind the song. It's from what I understand, or what I got from it, is that this is a story about a kid who's kind of just in a really bad environment, bad situation. He likes to go to the club. He likes to kind of have some fun, make some money. But he's also kind of running around with like guns and making sure that everything's fine. And if I'm not mistaken, he ends up dead at the end.
Right.
But I feel like just generally the song itself is a very creative story about some of like the actions that go on, and I guess I'm guessing the hood, I'm guessing the environment that Be Legit and E-40 are from. I like when in verse 2, I like when Be Legit was like, when he mentions kind of like the character has money on his membrane, he ain't really caring though. Ride with that 45, what he got to fear for, and I get this sense like the character himself is trying to be protected, and he's fearing something, but nobody really knows what, and that type of like mystery makes me want to like kind of dive in more to figure out what's going on, you know. And I like that. And on verse 5, actually, I liked when it was stated, swallow your pride, because pride is really a sin, and that it's something that I've been thinking of. Like, a lot of people have pride. A lot of, like, me myself, I hold my pride to what I hold my pride a lot, and sometimes it gets me into stupid situations, sometimes it gets me into really bad situations, and just to know that, like, just to hear, and just with the context of the song, understanding like this character had his pride in him, and it may have gotten him killed or may have gotten him in a bad place, really makes you kind of think about what you should be prideful for, when you should carry that. At least for myself, I'm speaking for myself only. Overall, I like the beat, I like the feel of it. I gave the song a 4 on 5.
That's cool. I liked it more. There's a lot of depth and power in this one, in the same way that the last one brought it with a lot of like wisdom. Like, I like when E-40's like, don't lose your faith. Let him tell you that funk will never end. A lot of times funk can be squashed if you got a mutual friend, somebody that's family or next to kin, somebody that's reputable in the streets or in the pen. And you get the sense that he's kind of like saying, like, don't listen to people who tell you that any kind of bad situation is hopeless, because at the end of the day, all it'll take is for like the right person to intervene in the situation, to get you guys in a room talking, blah blah blah, and the next thing you know, it's completely squashed, you know. And if you look at a lot of the rap beefs over history, and how they end, it often just kind of boils down to somebody got involved and said, fuck it, I'm squashing all these beefs, it's over. Then you got like B who wrote Real Talk, though we gotta tighten up. You know, the powers that be, they try to hype it up. You know it's power in we, so why we fighting us? And he ain't really trying to hear it. He was like us, bam. And it was like, you get the sense that they're trying to like encourage people to change the ways, which is definitely something we've seen a whole bunch of even up here. And you know, as is the normal, folk aren't necessarily listening, and there are some consequences to that. Like,
Right.
I really thought it was fucked up when E-40 starts it with, like, he got a text while he was snoring, top of the morning, when you get up, punch my horn. Remember, they funketeer, well, that no longer, bruh, that out of here. And you just, like, you imagine waking up and looking down at your text and getting another, and I'm assuming it's another text where it's just like, remember that dude? Well, he's kind of dead now, and that's just what the situation really is. Or never got a chance to repent when they killed him in his car, 556, 223s, past that hat around family GoFundMe's. And that was again, it's like,
Is that a cultural reference? Is that
it's using like GoFundMe to raise money for the family and victim of this or particular incident or
I thought
that.
he was referencing the incident with the cop and the
Or maybe
guy who got shot in his car there. Or he
Well, maybe that's what it is. I just kind of pictured it like, even to that end, like, shit, man, I've seen GoFundMes go around for like fire victims and stuff. So that must be like such a regular thing. Like, up, another person's dead, set up the GoFundMe, let's see what we can do. It's just, I don't know. It's one that really makes you reflect and think and feel, I guess. I gave it a 5. The beat was perfect for this one. The chorus, everything about this track just like flowed into this like every line just really kind of makes you consider things, let's say for me, outside of my comfort zone, which is, I guess, a really interesting thing and a really cool experience. It's something for me that would make me want to go back to the song and hear what he has to say on another day and really absorb the message a little bit more. Anyway, next one is Fsho.
And hooligans. Microwave living on the swale, rocking up crumbs. All on the roof in the bushes.
So before we jump into this, I was watching that documentary how they were talking about this moment where they were brand new and these DJs was listening to records to feel out the new music, and they came across theirs and they were kind of haters and they made them feel a little bit bad. And so it really helped me appreciate this particular track a little more, having learned that, and I thought it was pretty cool. I like when he's I remember when the people didn't see the vision. We was in the kitchen, we was on a mission, sitting at the table, here the demo, me and 40 Water on the instrumental. Yeah. We all we gonna need is a little dough, trying to look for people, or trying to show people that they have something here and they're not getting the respect they deserve. I like when E-40's all on the roof in the bushes, funking with guns, serving dope to the fiends. Now I'm older, I don't condone. Ask the Lord to forgive me for everything I've done wrong. And when it's time to leave the earth, will he let me in his home? And then anything's possible with the power of prayer, etc. I came from nothing and I used to have holes in my underwear. And that was fucking deep, right? So here we have E-40. He's kind of pointing out that once upon a time he was that guy, that gangster drug dealer type guy, and now he's grown older, he's moved past it, he's repented, he's found through God, but he's really believes that everything is not possible, even finding salvation, because once upon a time he came from literally holes in his underwear, true poor shit, and he's got all this stuff now, which is super interesting. And just even the chorus, seeing is believing. They didn't think they'd see me on the TV when I was young, and they didn't need me. Still, I stayed 10 to the cement. For sure.
A little bit of whiny.
I don't find that whiny. I thought it was really nice, man. For me, it's appreciation of look, I remember when folks were hating on me, and here I am today. I'm at that point in my life where people are hating on me. Not many people understand why I do some of the things I do, putting this all together, and I kind of hope that one day I'm able to write that song one day that's hey, remember when, So I felt it. My only real grievance is too fucking short. I wanted a lot more of this. The beat is magnificent. It's so different, and it really sucks you in. JT the Fourth has one of these awesome voices that complements what they do so well. So I give it a 4.5 on 5 because it was a little bit too short for my liking.
So you quoted both things from both verses I wanted to quote. I like when E-40 the whole line about serving the dope fiends and praying to God, hoping that God will let him into heaven and everything. I like that sense of that honesty, E-40's kind of talking to his fans, talking to the people who are going to listen, and he's look, I'm even here now at my age thinking that God might not accept me for what I did, but I know what I did was wrong. He can be mature about it. Right. I like that. The whole be legit, sitting in the kitchen on a mission, sitting at the table hear the demo, that's just, I can feel what he's feeling. I understand that. Trying to figure out what your next song is, what your next project is, what you're going to do to make it big, what are you going to do to get that banger out. That just hit close to home. But overall, the beat itself for me and the tone of the song just felt very poppy, very radio-ish. And it was more I was struggling, I made it. But I didn't like the vibe to this one a lot, as much as I like certain ones. I gave it a 3.9.
Chris gonna get his ass whooped.
Yep.
Savage from the cradle to the casket. I'm cut from a different fabric, not no vinyl or no plastic. I ain't at the airport.
Alright, so if I understand correctly, whooped is when you're half past faded and you're half past burnt and you're half past zooted and you're half past turned. So you're half past everything and you whooped. So it's the ultimate intoxicated ass kicking, and this song I suppose is the turn up jam, I liked it. I don't know. How'd you feel about it?
I felt like it was just pure bars about getting high and wanting to have fun. I'm
having my mathematics, packing them semi-automatics. I was born to be a savage from the cradle to the casket. I'm cut from a different fabric, but not no vinyl or no plastic. I ain't at the airport for what? I'm about getting to the baggage. What part of that was about getting high or having fun?
Dope.
Getting high or having fun. I'm just saying that wasn't what I heard from those lyrics. That's why I cut you off.
That's fine. The song didn't sit with me either, though. It just, like, for me, it was just a turn-up track, and it wasn't that great of a turn-up track. I didn't really have much to say. 3 on 5.
Okay, I don't agree. I think the song has a little bit to it. It's got this fun little energy. I wouldn't turn up to this. I don't get that kind of faded, but I kind of feel where it's coming from. I really like when Be Legit is like, get the feeling like aliens around me, paranoid, I be on the OG, bag underrated if you ask me. And unless I'm wrong, he's stating that particular strain of the Kush is particularly underrated in the world. I might be wrong about that, but unless it's about like the OG way of life, in which case I completely misinterpreted the line. Either way, I like the fact that you just kind of get the feeling that these guys are kind of fucked up and a little bit of shit's going on. Just have the little wobbly explanation, not wobbly, but like just kind of go through it. There isn't much in terms of, let's say, wisdom on this track. This one kind of feels like it's a little more about fun. It's a little more about wilding out. So you're right, but it's more like they get turned up. They're always in the vibe. Whatever. I don't have that much significance to add to this. I give it a 4. I like the kind of beat the way it comes through, but in terms of substance, this one was a little bit lacking for me. But that's because of the type of song it is, and I just couldn't see myself turning up to it. Anyway, Tap In is the next one.
The rival. Leave a pussy ass nigga unrecognizable. Cut off the head, nigga.
So I think like the specific niche on this song is when you up in their hood, make sure you check in with them and offer your respect and shit. And otherwise, it's kind of the same general feel. More of that
consistent with the theme of the album,
and like the beats are kind of on par, but there's some really fucking great lines again, and I think that's what makes this fun. Is the great lines, the flows, the way things are delivered. Like it again, like I said a little bit earlier, if you were liking it around track 5, you're probably still liking it now. I'm still liking it now. I like when E-40 says stuff like, the jealous be having it in because we win in before rap since the beginning. Longevity got it tatted on my arm. I am to rap what Ron Jeremy is to porn. Got a reputable name. I'm concrete. Practice being solid. Got to go in like a soldier, or go out like a coward. And that's pretty cool because having learned a little bit about E-40's history, he really is kind of to like it's a fair comparison to compare him to Ron Jeremy in terms of significance and iconic status. And I guess he's saying he has a giant dick. I don't know. I'm just throwing that in there. I like it because he's calling out the haters for their winning, and when you listen to what I'm seeing as the more authentic side of music, he just checks in with like everybody else, and what you see behind the scenes is he is that guy. I also like when Be Legit's like, check the melody and the slow flow, and you can get it around the corner at the liquor store, which is interesting because before they could get like picked up and signed and shit, right, and all of that other stuff, the only place I believe they could move their music was actually at the local liquor stores and crap like that. So it's kind of like a throwback to how they were up on their come up. So that was a cool line. Little mama ho doing hella bad, took a trick on a date and stole his iPad. And I kind of dig that. I kind of like, he's just like, yo, and then my girl here, she's so bad, she gonna go out with you and jack your shit because she's fucking fly like that, And I kind of just dug the overall feel, the energy. I'm gonna go a little bit quicker for the rest of the review because, it's really just the lines I thought were significant. The beats all kind of stem from the same general feel. This was more on that normal album sound. I give it a 4.5 on 5. It's really fun. How'd you feel?
You quoted the E-40 line I liked. I liked one of the lines from Be Legit where he goes, mama with the shit, moving the pain pills, granny knows she goes, she in the game still, granddaddy he shoot, he like to aim still, and now you know why we shift the bowl, the game L. And that sense of like family, that sense of it's not just me, you need like you need to check in with them, but it's not just that. It's like if you don't, my entire family's coming with us. Like it's not just my brothers or my extended, it's my mom, my grandma. This has been for decades, and just knowing, like, not even knowing, but just hearing how how Be Legit and E-40 kind of like grew up, and like how they kind of went through their experiences, and knowing that this is part of who they are, like even embedded in them. That was just insane. The beat's good. Uncle Murda's okay to me.
Yeah, I agree.
He's not like,
he sounds very aggressive for this song.
But I think that may be a little bit of the point, though, just to kind of drive home the point of like, you better respect us in our hood, especially. But the song landed at a 3.9 for me.
That's cool. ULI is the next one.
And they refuse to pay homage. They think my favorite rapper garbage, stay alive. E-40 the great.
Yeah, so another one that's coming in here. They've got the proper sense of where they are. They learn from their OGs. They got their respect. They understand the ways these folk are not doing things in the correct fashion. And it's to me one of the nicer ones. The beat is really just like an earworm in terms of it's got the right melody hook to like really like snag you in. I feel like some of these beats are just hit or miss. Like they either snag you or they don't. And then in general, like the lines on it are just like fucking proper. Like when B is like hashtag I've been getting bands, but you ain't got no grams, no P's, no pills, no plans. Only go with your mans. And when you are from where I'm from, they'll peep the scam. So you have a lot of people who may pretend to live a certain life, and then he's kind of pointed out that, well, it's kind of weird that lacking all the things required to live said life. Well, we can call you on what your shit is. I also like when E-40's like, you sold dope for a week, then you quit. According to your raps, you was it. You stinging a savvy and hella beast and hard. You ain't been block approved and tested on the boulevard. Your ghetto pass ain't revoked because you never even had one. And it's just kind of pointing out, I guess, to the studio gangster type. Like, look, you can't even act. Like, you're so fucking fake that, like, it's not that we can revoke your past, dude. You just never had the past. You never even were here. You were never even involved. It's like, how are you coming out there and saying this shit? It was almost like, it was like such a dry slap to the face, that line. I really, really appreciate it. Like, when you're shitting on the rappers who are not so real, it's cool when you can get such a creative way to put them in their place effectively. And then last thing I thought was a little bit dope here was, you get your game from the net, I get my game from the vets. You the type that'll break up with your bitch with a text, because it's not, don't do that. Had the decency to like in person that shit, you know. I once did it with a text. It was not very manly of me. It was very disgraceful. You gotta do it right, you know, proper. And yeah, and then you just got the sense that people don't respect the legacy that is E-40, that is this group, the clique, and they're not necessarily okay with that, and they're kind of lashing back a little bit. This is a fucking straight banger to me. It is amazing. I gave this a 5 on 5, a beautiful and awesome song.
Nice. Just to drive home a point with the E-40 and kind of like slapping the studio rappers, in the first verse when he goes, he say that he rich and got all the bitches, his don't even like him, and they his in jail they'll write him and they'll send him a kite, tell him in the Bing he ain't liked, first one to sing, last one to blast. And like just right there, I was like, he's already kind of breaking down that nobody is liking you because you're not being true to yourself. You maybe have taken a hit for somebody and taken a fall for somebody, and now that you're in jail, they're kind of like, well, we don't need you anymore, and you're not really living the life you live. And that's just still validating. Like, all they really want is to start seeing more authenticity, I feel, more originality, or at least being real to what you say. More honesty is what I'm going to go with. The song landed at a 4 on 5. It is a straight banger. For me, it's not really, I don't think it's like.
That's fine.
You know?
Well, the people just need to know what you think.
You bossing. We can go bowling or we can go miniature golfing. Or catch a flick and hit the man.
What a hook, eh? What did you think about this one? Did you like Rexx Life Raj?
I enjoyed it. I liked Rexx Life Raj. He has a very nice, smooth voice to the chorus. He's right on point with the little bit of like hip skips and hops in the track. Verse 1, we've got E-40 breaking down how he's very interested in this woman, and he feels like she deserves to be treated right. Shrimp, lobster, shrimp and lobster tempura with vegetables, sipping wine, matching oyster perpetuals. Just a little bit of fancy stuff, making her feel like, taking her out for a good time, wanting to make everything go right. And just following up with, like, to these wages, when you bossing, we could go bowling, or we could go miniature golfing, or catch a flick and hitting a matinee. And it's like just these things that don't really need that.
Hold on. Or touch the shooting range and practice with the K is immediately the next one. It's important to point that out as a prospective date idea. E-40 was just throwing in how boss his shit really is, okay? Okay, thank you. Please continue.
Because anyway, he's just kind of showing. That doesn't even help my point now, because I was trying to say, like, he's trying to show stuff that doesn't take that much money. I wonder how much money it takes to go to a shooting range.
Well, I think what he's trying to say is there's just different, like, levels to the kinds of dates you can go on.
Right.
He's a versatile guy. Oh, you that kind of girl, we can go here. And I think he's saying that, like, based on the way you play the situation, you unlock tiers of different, like, roles and dates that you get to actually go on.
Nice.
But anyway, yeah.
Verse 2, I like when Be Legit kind of breaks down how he romanticizes a girl, kind of seduces her, not seduces her, but like takes her on a nice date and tries to like sweeten her up and stuff. I like when he goes lunch at the lighthouse, watching the coast, little adios, then it's back in the ghost. Times like these, she be loving the most. Photo op queen, she be loving to post. And for me, for that line, I feel like nowadays, my girlfriend, she likes posting all the things that we do, putting it up on social media. And for me, in relation to that, I feel like Be Legit understands that about this woman. She likes taking photos. She wants to show them off. She wants to show off the fun she's having. He's going to make sure that she can show off the lavish life that she can give. And I find that's really, it's nice of him to do that. All in all, the song is really great. It's a nice little, kind of sweet song for women. 4 on 5.
I love this hook. Like, damn, I feel bad for your ex. Like, fuck, what an idiot. He lost you. You're sexy. Girl, you got it all. You blessed. Because she looks fine. She gonna show it off. Girl, flex. And something about a sundress. And then, interestingly, who do you belong to? Like, are you a free agent? Or do you have a man? And I know a few women who would not appreciate that particular choice of wording is something I can say. I'm not saying anything personally. It's fine. I get where he's coming from. He wants to make sure that you got a man, and if you do, that he becomes your man, and that's what's going on. I really like the swag E-40 puts through. Like, he's a true player. He understands the situation. I like when B is like, I'm just calling him B because I keep wanting to say Be Real, and I'm so sorry, folks. But if you ain't heard now, you should ask in Kalah. Leave your mind alone and harass your body. I take you to the bird hut, let you get your nerves up, breaking something down. We roll a little something up. You just get this grimy feel. I picture him taking the girl back, busting out the weed bag, and, creating like a fun little situation where he's going to get some good things to have happening to him.
Yep.
I found I like this one a little bit less than, like, let's say the other songs on the album, but, like, comparing it to, let's say, some of the R&B hip-hop songs I've heard recently, or something with Travis Scott, I like this way more. I feel like this is, like, their Travis Scott song, not to call it, like, a genre, but, like, what I would expect when I see the name Travis Scott in a feature. And this is, like, their girl song, and I don't know. It's a 4.25. It's just a weird one for me. Like, it's as good as all the other ones, but it was just weird for me. Anyway, I don't have a good reason for that. So I guess I'm going to take the Stompdown this time for Skit 2.
Occupational hazard for everything, you dig. If you're in the line of gangster duty, you might get slaughtered.
This is the second skit. It's attached to the first one. Skit 1, we find out all of the types of grinds that exist, and here's all the consequences specific to the various types of grinds. So it calls them occupational hazards. So if you're a bank robber, you might get slaughtered robbing a bank. If you're a pimp, you might get crossed with some of them hoes. If you're a hustler, somebody might over-hustle you. Response. I give it a 4 because at this point I was like, okay, the combined of the two skits placed as they are pretty nice. It made me think it's pretty okay, but it was short, sweet, a little break from the music. I give it a 4, but really they're okay skits. What about you?
3.5 on 5, and it's just because it is a short skit. But I did have a thought just now as you were reading it off. The second skit is actually standalone pretty interesting.
More so than the first.
Because I feel like now I'm just gonna build a little scenario here. Imagine just chilling at I don't know, some like parking lot. You're chilling with your gangsters, your friends, your boys, whatever you want to do, and this little skit comes on, and the type of environment that I think like E-40 is in, or like Be Legit is in, and kind of how they roam around. This is kind of like a little bit of like a wake-up call, like, yo, remember, like, if you're in this type of game, this is what happens, and just kind of like playing in the background. I don't know, I just had that thought. I thought that was really cool. But all in all, it's a 3.5 on 5.
Those were Chris's bare thoughts.
Fuck a mask, we'll do it better.
I don't think about it. I don't be without.
Yo, this one is short. That beat really reminds me of like that little John era crunk music a little bit.
Like a trappy feel.
But like still made me feel like that thing. It's got a couple of great lines. I really hate to take it there, but I promise you we ain't playing fair. We don't care if your daddy there. I'm gonna nail you to the chair. We'll do it bare.
Yep.
Like that's some raw. Like they don't give a fuck. They coming in super hard. I think it's E-40. One thing I hate is a hater. Two things I hate is a traitor. Bullets ain't got no name. Slugs talk a different slang. Need a translator. And it's just like fucking solid, right? Like it's
everybody.
It's got like he doesn't like haters and he fucking hates traitors as well. And then the idea that bullets have their own language and the story they tell is just so different that they need a translator, because when you just look at the result after, you know, like you don't know. Like there's no you can't hear what happened. And
I took it as he's just I took it as Slugs talking a different slang, need a translator because he doesn't care what race, color, or whatever. He's just knocking on anybody who fucks with him, and to like connect with, you know, if you're Spanish, he's like shooting a Spanish bullet at you, and that like.
Well, that might be a fair way to look at it. Anyway, I just thought this song was raw. It came in hard. It came in really proper, rather than just quoting a bunch of whatever. I'm giving this a 5. It is one of my favorite songs on this project.
I gave it a 4. It's exactly what it is. It's a raw, not like completely psychopathic, but it's this raw,
like honest gangster ass
song where they're like, if you fuck with us, we are going to be the last face that you see when we kill you. And that's mostly the reason why they say bare, because there's a difference when you run up on somebody with a mask and when you run up on somebody barefaced. From the multiple songs I've heard, apparently if somebody runs up on you barefaced, your life is over. Because of course they don't need you snitching and blah blah blah. So the last face you see is the killer's face, or whoever you fucked over.
That's right. All right. Anyway, next up we have Barbershop.
Name told, old boy got popped. They stripped some nigga last night at the spot.
Yo, this Barbershop track was particularly interesting. Like with the hook, like what's his name told old boy got popped. They stripped some last night down at the pop. Partner went down, not everybody hot. That's what I heard at the Barbershop. So you get like this context that they go to the barbershop and they hear about the various tragedies and goings arounds in the hoods and who did what to who, and it kind of contextualizes this song, and the various themes covered in the verses kind of fill into more of the different context of stuff that they deal with, you know? Like, I go this little bitch, I be milking the bitch for all her paper, thick like cake mix, all the ballers want to pay her, save her. Charlie Check a Chick is what they call me, not a Cape Crusader. So a Cape Crusader is somebody who, like, swoops in and wants to save a girl and take her away from the players and the ballers and stuff. And on the other hand, he's Charlie Check a Chick, so he puts a girl in her place and wants to know what's up. He's plugged in, I know everything, keeps his ear to the gravel, I know these streets like I'm a motherfucking shadow, and under circumstances, it's man to stay with a stapler. You never know who I hate her, because ain't no congratulators. So there's a suspicion, because nobody's like happy. Nobody's like willing to like give you props. Nobody's willing to like tell you what's up or anything good like that. Instead, you're surrounded by these people looking to give you some kind of harm and stuff, you know?
Chime in on that. I also kind of took from that line, because I also quoted it, I know these streets like my motherfucking shadow. And you never know who I hate her, because because ain't no congratulators. Both lines. First one, the shadow line. I like that type of connection he's got with his hood, his streets, his place. I like how he's like I'm so connected with these people. I'm so respected that it's basically I can see it all the time. And I also like the congratulator line, because of course, you know, everybody's hating. Nobody ever gives him props or anything like that. But also, I feel like I got a sense of like when you do an accomplishment and you tell somebody or you're trying to show it off, people are like, oh yeah, that's good. But it's like not really genuine, you know?
Nobody cares.
It's like
Yeah,
exactly.
But on
That's
top
just
of that,
mine.
it's like people, like even statistically, the reason there's so much drama and negativity on the news is because we don't care about happy things. We just click if it's bad. Like you'll click on the downfall video, but you're not going to click on the rise of video, you know? And then, yeah, I like when the other one's like, yeah, in the chair, you're going to hear the drama, sad bitch and her mama jumped the baby mama. Yep. She was being messy out in the comments talking about, excuse me, left his condoms. Like, and you just picture, like, him sitting there in the chair, getting his hair cut. Things are going around, and he's just listening to how these women just go at each other and the savagery and how it's just kind of like, just that's what's going on in the hood.
Okay. I thought he was the one in trouble.
No. He was just in the chair, and they're just kind of just listing off stuff that they're hearing while they're getting their haircut.
Right.
We don't have barbershops like that up in Montreal. I mean, maybe we do. I don't go to barbershops that are like that in Montreal. It's just never happened to me.
Well, you mean one that's like chatty fully? Like,
yeah.
I mean,
I know they exist. I mean, like a barbershop where you go hang out.
I've been to a barbershop. It's just I don't talk to anybody there.
Exactly. You go in and like it's weird, and Quebec has
and
like
they had the little.
But like I'm certain that there are ones that like are kind of more of like what I imagine
central on the city. And
what I imagine the stereotypical barbershop is, if you know what I mean. Anyway,
fair enough.
So I gave this song a 4.5 on 5 because it was another really deep one that got me thinking and stuff. I felt that as much as I like Stresmatic, what he had to say on the chorus, he was a little flat and a little lacking energy compared to the other two, which is kind of fine in some cases, but I would have preferred a different person on this hook. Anyway, that's just me. How did you feel?
Everything that you said, I feel 90% the same way. The other 10% is with the verse 2 when B Legit said, put 100 on the lamb, 50 more on the wrist. This is pissed. If the move, it's funk them, buys got the problems, really don't want. Flexing in the thing, park it right out front, be the talking in the barbershop for the next 3 months. I like how he plays up on the whole gossip barbershop talk, where he's like, you know what, they're going to be talking about me when I spend my money, when I drop 50,000, 100, whatever it is, on his wrist. People are going to get pissed off at him. But, of course, if you try to move in a funky way, you're going to be the news for the next 3 months after he pops you. And I like that bring back to the theme of the song. I like that whole, in the chair, you're going to hear the drama side, bitch, or mama jump. I like that line. All in all, I like the concept. And now that I understand that line even more, because at first I thought it was like, he was the one in trouble. I like how they kept it like them in the barbershop hearing gossip, hearing all the talk around. That was very creative. I gave it a 4 on 5.
All right, so blame it on the... Anyway, yeah, next song.
Influenced by the swag that us G's wrote. Homie, we done learned from the city street.
The whole clique reunites on this one, and that is basically the clique being E-40, who we've been listening to, Be Legit, who we've been listening to,
D-Shot.
And that's added in, and then we also have Sugar T, the lady of the group, who is also there.
She's gangster as hell, by the way.
Absolutely,
like, she's straight up G.
Straight up, and I like the fact that she's so empowering for women and stuff, and that's what she's up to these days. Anyway, she seems like a really interesting person that Bonnie should listen to. But I love the chorus, right? Like every one of them just drops a single one-off line, but I think the most telling one is E-40's I blame it on the OGs, you know, like the situation in the state is fucked up, but really it's because like let's say I want to take on, like, I'm 30, right? That means I could be having kids right now, and there's probably kids who have like 10-year-olds that are my age, and there's a lot of poor role models and guys who are not selling the right ideas to the youngsters. So in a sense, unless I live proper, right, I mean, I kind of contribute to the problem. And I think what he's trying to convey is, at the end of the day, we can pass the blame on to this youth all the time, but he's passing the blame on to the role models of the youth, the people who instructed these youth to become the way that they are. And I just love that line, you know. And then,
but I think it's like the youth OGs.
Yeah,
like, not like E-40 or whatnot. It's like
in random hood XYZ, the OGs of that hood led their kids astray, you know. And then each person has their verse. I think it's E-40 first. Or is it? No, maybe I'm wrong. It's E-40 first, then it's D-Shot, then it's Be Legit, then it's Sugar T. And they all just do their little lines, and they come in and do their little part. Like, I don't know, E-40, I liked when he's like, I'm popping for a minute now, but it ain't no stopping, spitting game all over the popper stopper, mobbing, peas popping, and it just sounded fucking fun. He did really well. I love my little, I promise you I ain't hating, I swear to mob, it's like they skipped a generation. It's almost like he's trying to like point out that like the wisdom kind of skipped over the generation or whatever or something. Maybe I'm missing the point a bit, but it's like he's trying to show that like it's not about hating, it's just kind of observing, you know, a little bit. D-Shot, like, shout out to the youngsters, pressed up, little young players out the cup. Y'all peeped up the map when the G's wrote, influenced by the spot that G's wrote. And you get the sense that he's kind of, instead of hating at all, he's just giving props to anyone who's able to survive and kind of, like, make it and kind of get any kind of accomplishment and grind. So he's paying, like, props to them for the ones who did study their influence and, as a result, were able to pull it off, you know?
But just to extend that, hold on. Y'all peeped out the map that us G's wrote, influenced by the swag that us G's wrote. Homie, we done learned from the city streets. I'm still a young monster packing heat. Now, I wanted to continue that because it's like, I like when he goes, we learned what we learned from the streets, and it's like validating that, look, we're trying to teach you what we were taught on our own.
Right.
And that was just kind of something that stuck with me, and I felt like he was trying to tell people, like, yo, you need to listen to us. Like, whether you like it or not, we're the ones who are going to tell you how to actually survive in whatever world you're trying to live in.
Right, okay. And then be legit, like I tell a young lad, boy, get your bag and fuck living lav, make it last, fertilize the stash, homie, grow the grass, gotta take it real slow when you living fast. Hey. I don't know if it was here, it was probably just some like thing I heard in the documentary, but like one of the lines that apparently just showing their wisdom that like was kind of talked about was, don't buy an $85,000 car if you don't own a house yet, you know? And it's kind of got the same feeling from here, like, get your bag, make your money and stuff, but make sure that you don't waste it all. Get your ducks in a row. Take it slow while you're living fast. So you can have all these things, but you should still not rush to get them.
Make sure that what you're doing is going to be a better investment.
And then Sugar was kind of fine. Back in the manish days, I used to live my life illegal. Back in the glory days, I used to cock, got in my rap game, then I stopped. Loved that. Like, she used to do it dirty, now she's doing it proper. And I like the fact that like she came in and just dropped that hard shit, and then there was the hook again, and then it ends. And I give this song a 4.25. I thought it was fun. I thought it was okay, but it kind of felt like a little like, I don't know, like they tried a little less hard, and they were having like a better time, you know? Like I almost felt
I think I see where you're coming from. I feel like they were having more fun.
Yeah.
But I think that, and I wanted to bring up a point though in the song, and where he goes, you know, I blame it on the OGs. E-40 goes, man, I blame these OGs. And I wanted to just bring it back to that because I also feel like they're talking to a lot of the younger rappers too. Like my little brother looks at, like, I don't know, let's say Lil Uzi, and he's like, oh, he's an OG. And that's how I kind of correlate the, like, relate the song and everything, because it's like...
Well, I think that, yeah, maybe.
Well, I'm just saying, like right. They're looking up to somebody, and they might, and like E-40 might not feel like some of the younger rappers or the younger generation are really giving off the advice that should be working, you know what I mean? So I gave the song a 4. I thought it was great.
All right, so finally we've almost come to the end. There's one last tier. It is So High.
Everywhere I go, everywhere my stay high.
This song was so fucking different. Like, it almost felt like this 80s dance groove. Like, you're in this whole other era. Like, the whole album was this one thing, and then this little fun song, and I'm not hating. I enjoyed this little refreshing nugget at the end here.
The intro made me feel like a gym.
Yeah.
Like, move your head back.
I don't have a lot to comment on this one because it really was it was really this great beat, the great vibe. E-40 flows to it proper. Be Legit manages to hit it in a way where he sounds exactly the same as he did on every other song, but it works on this beat, and that's cool. And I just kind of like the Born to Fail, but I'm anointed, run up on me, get disappointed. Got 30 in the clip for like a half an hour. Get it? Get it? Because 30 minutes and a half an hour. I just got that now. Blown on a pack of leprechaun flowers. Because who the fuck calls it leprechaun flowers? That's awesome. You know? And then I also like the I Be Running Drag Bruce Jenner. Because fuck Bruce Jenner. I'm not a big fan of that person. And I like it when people use Bruce Jenner. Because it's not, I don't care about the transgender part. It's the fact that he's turned out to then be very very homophobic after all of that attention he exploited from a lot of people. As you can see, I'm not the biggest fan of him. So I like it when people bring him up in a song. In general, though, this song is fun, airy. It's a generally super pleasant experience. It's a great way to end this album. Prohoezak or whatever is pretty fun to listen to, too. I'm giving this a 4.5 on 5. I liked it.
I'm giving it a 4. It's a nice way to close off the album. I like the general consensus of, or the general sense of, we're getting high to deal with our problems, and this is how we also kind of relax. And throughout the verses, it's consistent with what they've been saying throughout the song, and just, you know, living their life, trying to do what they got to do to continue making money. And overall, it was just really good.
Yeah, so sorry about if it's been a while for us. It's definitely past the 2-hour mark of the raw footage time, even if it's shortened down when you see it. So that's the end of this review. I gave this album a 4.46. I really dug it. I don't know how much I like all of their work. Maybe it's just the novelty of it, but this sound hit me nice. The fat basses, the diverse way that these beats are put together, so that while being the same sound, they are so different. The way that E-40's versatility mixed with almost the grounded nature of Be Legit kept it proper, the wisdom of the lyrics, the excellent flows. There's so many great things about this album. And again, as I said it a couple times now, if you don't like the first couple of songs, you're not going to like the project. But if you do like the first couple of songs, you are in for a fucking treat. And I guess that's what I got to say about this one.
As per me, unfortunately, I didn't like a lot of the songs on the album. The grade I gave it was a 3.5. At the end of it, I think it's just my taste in music, my taste in sound of what I prefer, what I like to listen to. I will go back to what Holden said. I think that after a couple more albums, I will be a little bit more interested in this sound once I get more comfortable with it. But as a first listen, this was very heavy to digest for me, at least.
No, it's completely fair. But really what's most important is how y'all feel about this album. So feel free to hit us up in the comments and tell us your opinions of the E-40, Be Legit, this album, their older work. What's your favorite album by, I think he's got 29 now. On top of that, if you leave that comment, subscribe to the channel, and then like the thingy. We've actually gained a subscriber while recording, so we only need 30 now to break that 1,000, so you can help us achieve that.
Look at that. It made it easier on everyone else.
And if you happen to want to, you'll see our Twitters pop up again, hopefully, maybe. And anyway, somewhere around here, whatever, at HSR514, at Chris Chrome 93. Holla at us. We'll keep the conversation alive. Definitely. We'll catch you the next time. Let us know what you want to see us cover. And have a great week, everybody. Peace.